If you've ever been in a cruise ship hot tub, you've undoubtedly heard somebody bragging about how they go on cruise after cruise without breaking the bank. Well, I've been cruising for decades. I've talked to thousands of passengers and many crew members, and I'm about to reveal to you the 10 biggest secrets cruise lines don't want you to know. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies cruise lines don't advertise. Let's get started. I can still remember the first time I went on a cruise. I spent about $600 per person for an ocean view cabin, just that little window in the room. No balcony, that was it. But I've spoken to a number of cruise ship staff members over the years. And did you know that initial purchase that you make when you book your cabin just breaks even for the cruise line? That means that they're not even making any money off of you yet. They're basically just compensating for the expenses to give you that room, to feed you, to entertain you during that cruise. So all of those extra things that the cruise line tries to get you to spend extra money on, in the casino, in the shops, the specialty dining, the drinks, the drink packages, the spa packages, they're all there because that is what makes the cruise line a profit. Which means if you simply just book your basic fare and don't buy any extras, you're really getting a great deal because you're not even making money for the cruise line. Now, I'm not saying not to purchase any of these extras. If there's something that excites you and you're interested in, by all means, go ahead. But just understand that that's where the cruise line is making their profit. And so the prices on those things are exaggerated. If you really want to cruise on a budget, just enjoy what's included in your fare. And this next tip will save you hundreds of dollars off of shore excursions. When we go on a cruise, we're always booking shore excursions for the ports of call. But if your itinerary includes one of the cruise line's private islands in the Bahamas or the Caribbean, you really don't need to book any shore excursion. You can keep that money in your pocket. While these private islands are big profit centers for the cruise lines because they sell all kinds of things there, like parasailing, jet skis, water parks, simply going to a beautiful beach with crystal clear waters where they provide you with a lounge chair and an umbrella for shade for absolutely nothing, where you would pay money for that at another port of call. So why not just enjoy the free environment that is available to you at these private islands without spending a lot of extra money on excursions? This is one thing they don't want you to know because they make a ton of money on every dollar you spend there. But you can have a beautiful day with free food and free drinks without spending a penny. Now wait for this next tip, which might really save you if you forgot to bring on board medications that you need. In all the excitement of getting ready and packing for your cruise vacation, mistakes can happen. They happen to us all the time. And if you forget something important, like a prescription medication that you rely on, it can be a real problem. Now, I've known people to miss shore excursions and waste an entire port day trying to figure out where to go and how to get that medication filled. It can be a real headache, but with this simple hack, you can avoid all of that. All major cruise ships have a doctor and some sort of medical facility on board, and they do stock a decent variety of medications. While it's not going to be as extensive as a pharmacy back home, they have the basic things that you might have forgotten. Because keep in mind, they're not just there for you. They're there for a crew that might be on that ship for 6 or 9 months straight. And they have to keep everybody healthy. So if you forget a medication, your first thing is to check with the doctor or the medical center on board. Because if they can see that you have a prescription on your phone for that medication, they're more than likely to give that to you without too much of a headache. You might even avoid paying the fee. But even if you have to pay a doctor's fee in order to get it, it's much easier to do it that way than to try tracking that down in some foreign country, in some foreign port somewhere. Next, we're going to go behind the scenes of the cruise ship loyalty programs and reveal the one big secret they don't want you to find out. But first, I'd like to know if you're loyal to any particular cruise line. If so, drop it in the comments below. Let us know who you stick with. All the cruise lines are competing for the same customers, you and me and everybody else out there looking to go on a cruise. But once they get us on their ship for the first time, their goal is to make us repeat customers. And that's why they have loyalty programs. Because the first time we cruise with a company, we don't get anything extra, but we get a promise. We've signed up for the loyalty program, and next time we'll be bumped up to that next tier that'll get us something, even if it's just a free bottle of water or maybe one free drink. But as we move up those tiers, we can earn more and more perks and benefits. But the real question is, are these perks really worth it? Many cruisers swear by the loyalty programs, especially those who've attained a high level of status, because they're receiving a whole lot of perks and benefits every time they travel with that line. But the secret that the cruise lines don't want you to know is that some of these cruise lines actually will match loyalty status. So if you have a platinum status with Carnival, for example, and you sail with MSC, which is one of these companies, they'll match that status. So your first cruise on MSC can be as a platinum member, just because you had that status with another line. And another reason not to book just based on loyalty is you might find an incredible deal on a cruise line you never sailed with, and you might find that you really love that cruise line or that cruise ship. If it's a great deal, why not try it out? Instead of being beholden to where the cruise lines want you, locked in to their specific brand. Now let's talk about another secret cruise lines won't advertise, but almost anybody can get away with. If you've cruised before, you probably have a certain time you like to get on the ship. And if you've never cruised before, you might be thinking, well, I want to be one of the first ones on so I can start exploring. Or maybe you're going to explore the city that your ship is leaving out of, so you want to get on board a little later. But cruise lines assign a specific time for everybody, and it's usually either half-hour or 1 hour window when they want you to arrive. Now during COVID, this served a specific purpose. They needed crowd control. They needed to keep and limit the number of people inside the building that were being checked in and being allowed to board so it didn't get too packed. But before COVID, it was never an issue. And again, now we are seeing that you can pretty much show up at whatever time you want and they'll let you board, as long as they're not being overwhelmed with a ton of people at that time, which usually isn't the case because at most of these cruise ports, they're well prepared to handle all kinds of crowds. Now, here's a little room service hack you can use on most cruise lines. Decades ago, when I first started cruising, room service was always included. It was always free. There was no upcharge or anything. Nowadays, many cruise lines will charge you a service charge if you order room service for anything other than a continental breakfast. However, there are some perks to ordering room service even with this surcharge. Now, the surcharge is somewhere between $7 and $10 usually, depending on the line. But you can order whatever you want for that surcharge. And even though cruise lines will have a menu, so you'll get a menu that you can order from, most cruisers think that's it. That's what room service is. And it might be 5, 7, 10 items. It's usually not very big. In some cases, they emphasize pizza for their room service delivery. But on most cruise lines, you can actually order anything off the main dining room menu. So as long as it's dinner time or lunchtime when they are actually preparing that food in the main dining room, you can order it delivered to your room. So if you see something you really want on there and you want to order, 2 or 3 of those dishes, you can order them to room service. It's easy to figure out what's on the menu too. You just use the apps they have now. All menus are posted on the cruise line's apps, so you can find out exactly what's being served in the main dining room. And if you feel like staying and eating on your balcony or in your cabin, or maybe just having a little extra without having to ask for it in the main dining room, you can have it delivered directly to your room for a single service fee. With this next tip, we're going to break a few rules. But if you've enjoyed these tips so far, please subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you part of our family. Cruise lines have all sorts of rules for many different reasons. For example, they don't allow you to bring on hard liquor. They want you to buy that stuff from them because it's a big profit center for them. They're protecting their interests, but also it allows the bartenders to kind of monitor how much somebody's drinking. They have recently banned things like Bluetooth speakers because people have abused the privilege of having those. And they use them in public areas on the ship, even in dining rooms, and just blast their music when other people are trying to just have a peaceful day. So because of that, they've banned many things to protect passengers' comfort. And then there's a whole litany of things that they ban for safety reasons. Now, we receive many comments from people who say that they're able to get these things on board. And yes, I am well aware of that. People do bring all kinds of things on board that they're not supposed to because they don't all get caught when you're going through check-in. So if you manage to bring it on board, just keep this in mind. Cabin attendants and cruise staff, they're not the police. They're there to make sure you have a good vacation. And they're not trying to look at your things to see if you have something that you maybe shouldn't have brought on board. If it's not illegal, you'll probably be okay. However, don't go posting about and bragging that you were able to get something on board that you shouldn't have, because that is the worst thing you can do to the cruise line. They're going to take offense to that. You may be fined. You could be banned from the cruise line. It's just not worth it. So if you happen to break a rule here or there and get something on board, just keep it to yourself. Don't disturb other passengers with it, and you'll probably have no issue. A word of caution, cruise lines are getting very tough on people trying to bring on anything that's illegal, like drugs or even marijuana. And if you do that, you're likely to get kicked off the ship or worse. Now let's look at some things the cruise lines don't tell you about the differences between their ships. We've been on all kinds of cruises, big and small, and I've spoken with a number of cruisers. Some who swear by the newest, latest, greatest ship with all the bells and whistles, and other cruisers who fall in love with the smaller, slightly older ships. But here's what the cruise lines don't tell you about the difference between their fleet. The newer, bigger ships, of course, they have everything advertised. The roller coasters, the water slides, the ice rinks, all the fancy specialty restaurants. But you're going to be dealing with a lot more crowds. These ships carry a lot more people. And although the ships are bigger, the extra space is not enough to allow that many extra people to really spread out. So you don't feel like you can really get away from the crowds. On the smaller ships, it's a bit different. They don't have all the bells and whistles, and yes, some of them are a bit older, although they get refurbished every so often. So you're not going to be on a ship with a major cruise line that is falling apart. It's going to still be a nice experience and much less crowded. The other thing is, if you're on a budget, a smaller ship is going to save you, in many cases, a lot of money. Of course, cruise lines don't want to tell you anything that might lose them money, which is why you won't hear about this next hack. You're going on a cruise, but you still want to be connected to the world. The biggest question we get is, do I need internet or not? Because it is very expensive on cruise ships. Well, this hack might save you a little money because it won't work on every cruise line, but major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean will allow you to switch devices with one single internet package. So you only need to buy one plan as long as you're not using more than one device simultaneously. You can use your device, log off when you're done. Your wife or your kids can then log in and use their device. As long as you're not using those at the same time, you only need one package and you can switch between devices as many times as you want. Now, this won't work for everybody because some families are going to need to be on more than one device at the same time. However, even if that's the case, another way to save money is make sure you buy that internet package before your cruise because you can save 25 to 30% off the cost of purchasing it on board. Understanding how the internet package works might save you a little money, but this next tip could save you hundreds. The alcoholic beverage packages are huge profit centers for the cruise line. So here's the things that they won't tell you about how this stuff works. For one, you have to drink a lot of alcoholic drinks to make the package price worth it. As a rule of thumb, between 6 and 8 per day. And that's per person because every adult in your cabin is forced to buy that drink package. Now, if you think about this ahead of time and you know you're going to be on vacation, you're going to want to have some cocktails or some drinks, but you're not going to drink that much, you'll be saving hundreds of dollars by buying those drinks a la carte as you want them. And in fact, many cruise lines offer discounts throughout the day, happy hour deals, and other specials that will allow you to buy drinks at a cheaper price than what the menu states. So now that you know 10 secrets the cruise lines try to keep, did you know that they use very specific strategies to try to take more of your money? I'll tell you all about those right here.